time to pull up this story. In a tweet from Stephen Marsh, we've had on the show, he says, honestly, guys, when a marriage gets like this, you sit the kids down and tell them it's over. And you figure out how to separate with as little pain and suffering as possible. He links to his article from The Guardian, in which he makes a very important point. He writes, civil wars don't always begin with gunfire. Sometimes civil wars begin with learned arguments. In April 1861, Confederate forces shot on Fort Sumter. But at the time, even Jefferson Davis, the Confederate president, had doubts about whether the event mattered all that much. It was, he claimed, quote, either the beginning of a fearful war or the end of a political contest. He could not say which. During the decades that preceded the assault on Fort Sumter, complex legal and political fissures had been working their way through the United States, slowly rendering the country ungovernable and opening the path to mass violence. Yo, I just got to say that civil war is coming. From Fox News, liberals call for revolution in response to leaked SCOTUS Roe v. Wade opinion. It's not just liberals. There's one guy. He's running for AG in Florida. I believe that's who this guy is. It's time for a revolution. These are blue check, verified Twitter users taking donations through Act Blue, advocating for insurrection.
Yeah, I'll hold my breath in waiting for the May 2nd commission.
So I also want to give one quick shout out to this this tweet from Madison Cawthorn, who said, because of Donald J. Trump, Roe v. Wade will be overturned. Because if you went 10 years into the past and started telling people that, they would call in a 5150, which, for those that aren't familiar, is involuntary commitment to a hospital for mental issues. Donald Trump, he's going to be president, and then Roe v. Wade is going to be overturned. They're like, okay, dude, calm down. I think you're losing it. That's not going to happen. And then it did. And here we are, and it's quite amazing. But now we have this story from Fox. Check this out. We have other people. Maria Shriver saying, say you want a revolution? Well, you have one here right now. This person says, waking up to another right for my body being threatened in 2022. If they want a revolution, they are going to get one. It's not a revolution. It's a civil war. The Republican position right now is red states get to choose whether they have abortions or not, and so do blue states. The Democrat position is the entire country should have to allow abortion. One is absolutist, one is a compromise. I'll say it again. The Republicans are compromising. Blue states are allowed to have abortions, red states don't. And the Democrats are saying, no, we don't care. You have to have abortions. Okay, that's not a revolution when you come out and you say, we're going to force you to have these laws. That's called a civil war. That is not a moral statement about who is right or wrong. It is a fact statement about what a civil war is. So, hey, civil war, guys?
No. If there is one, it's going to be global. That's the problem. And the U.S. is going to get beat like a young... I'm not going deeper on that. And it'll be corporations will be involved as well. So, no, not civil war. I think when we're talking about why people want the federal government to preserve abortion rights is because if you're in a red state, or you say you're in a blue state, and then Roe v. Wade gets overturned, and your governor's like, don't worry, you can still be here. You set up a family. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of people move there. They live there. They have lives. They have businesses. They set up families. Then a new governor gets in and is like, yeah, you can't have abortions here anymore. Like, why would one person get to make that decision? That's why it's federally instantiated, I believe.
Then why would one person get to make the decision to allow it? That's another question, because they're making a decision to allow all of those unborn children to die.
This is funny. The left keeps saying men should not be regulating women's bodies, and then everyone keeps posting a picture of the Supreme Court in 1973, which is all men.
Well, and also oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name. She was just nominated by Biden for...
Ketanji.
Yes, that's right. She could not answer the question of what a woman is. So what are they saying when they're talking about men regulating women's bodies?
This is the point, with the first story about the horse medicine for abortion. It's like, dude... They're saying there's a picture of a guy out in front of the Supreme Court or whatever holding a sign saying men should not be regulating women's bodies, or it was something like if you it was something about like men. Oh no, I know what it said. It said if men could get pregnant, then abortion would be enshrined or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, okay, hold on, I'm confused now because y'all are telling me that men could get pregnant for a long time.
Yeah.
Now you're telling me that they can't. So this is like an affront. I'm just confused at this point. I think this conflict is going to be really interesting because it's not liberal versus conservative. It is cult, amoral versus logic, I guess.
That's one way to put it.
Go ahead.
I would just like to ask you, I'm not sure. I'm not sure which social circles you're running in now. I'm sure they've changed since you've detransitioned, but I'm sort of curious what the people around you have to say about all this, and also not to put you too on the spot, but the prospect of a civil war, in your opinion.
You're 23. Tell us.
He's like, do you think, which side will you be on? No, but I am curious how the people around you have been responding to this.
That's part of why I'm so conflicted, because I do, I guess, talk to a lot of women who I do highly respect. I think they're intelligent. I think that they are moral people. They're not, some of these crazy people that you see in the most extreme cases. And they really, really, really care about abortion. And obviously, abortion being as accessible as possible. And then I'm just kind of sitting there thinking like, well, I don't feel that strongly about it. Something about it makes me very uncomfortable. And, I get confused thinking about all of these different like extreme possibilities of what could happen, because I'm still just trying to like slow down and think about, okay, well, is it a human life or not? And I don't see the argument for why it's not a human life. And then if it is a human life, then how is ending it okay? Like that, I'm kind of like stuck there.
So it sounds. Hold
on. I have an important question. Okay. In your life experience, going through transition and detransition, do you feel that you were lied to by elements of the left?
Yes, absolutely, and I'm highly skeptical of that. And even when that Ralph Northam guy says, "Oh, it's between a woman and her doctor," I hear that exact same thing said about the trans kids. It's about the kids and their doctor, and I know that sets off alarm bells in my head that like this person's a liar.
And then, so that's basically my follow-up question is, do you think that they may be lying to you about abortion?
Absolutely. I know for a fact that they are.
This is the big issue that I personally face because, traditionally liberal my whole life. But now the problem is, I love doing this. You ready? Trayvon Martin's story was a lie. Jussie Smollett was a lie. Covington Kids was a lie. Kyle Rittenhouse was a lie. Russiagate was a lie. Ukraine Gate was a lie. Ahmaud Arbery's story was a lie. Come on, guys. What else?
COVID.
9/11.
The ghost of
Kiev. That was a lie.
That's right. Also a lie.
So all of these stories keep turning out to be false, and then I'm supposed to believe anything these people say, and I'm just like, dude, I don't know, man. I just don't believe you. I don't believe any of them.
So
hold on. I'll say this. I really don't respect or like Lindsey Graham or Mitch McConnell or Kevin McCarthy or
exactly.
Any of the
I don't think those
Republicans.
people are honest either. I don't think
Right.
they're telling me the truth. Like when they share their arguments, I'm like, you're a liar too. So it's hard.
They don't
right.
want. I don't think the Republicans actually want abortion to be banned, because just like the Democrats, they need the wedge issue.
I think for some number of them, they recognize that too. Some percentage of the population, they would kind of become politically irrelevant if abortion was illegal. So some of them probably cynically exploit the issue. But I am curious to ask you, when you were in the process of, I guess they would call it transitioning, was there anyone in your life who tried to warn you against it or tried to stop you from going down that path?
The only person really would be my parents, but I just don't think they really knew how to handle it. I mean, how does anyone know how to handle that?
Yeah.
But yeah, they reacted very emotionally, and I think that just furthered the schism between us and just sent me, like it literally, ruined our relationship for like a year. We didn't even talk. So that was pretty much the only person, but everyone else, including at my school, it was all like, yeah, you're a boy.
Do you wish that there had been more people in your life at that time who would stand up for you and your dignity and protect you from that?
Definitely.
What was it?
Well, I think that you can be that voice for the unborn. Because I think you recognize that it is a life and it does begin at conception. And I think you could do a lot of good in protecting the innocent in a way that you weren't protected when you needed someone.
So I think
I get what you're saying.
A really big portion of this argument that is left out when it comes to the left. One of the things I heard is, what happens if the placenta breaks early on in the pregnancy and it's terminal for the baby and the woman? Republicans wouldn't allow an abortion in the circumstance. Seamus.
Yes.
If something like that happened.
Wait, could you repeat the question?
So someone posted, it was like on Twitter, and they said, in the instance where a woman is like in a second trimester and the placenta breaks, it's ruptured, and the baby and the mother will both die unless the baby is removed, they say Republicans would not allow that.
So, again, my answer is you perform whatever surgery is necessary to save the mother without the intent to kill the child or without directly harming the child. And if the child dies as an unfortunate side effect of that, that happens. But that's not the same as an abortion.
So I think that's an important semantic component that is overlooked. That when at least you and Matt Walsh were describing it, you're talking about abortion as specifically and only the intentional act of killing the baby.
Yeah, when you go in there. Now, I think there could be an argument to be made that like someone could behave recklessly and kill a child and be morally culpable for that as well. But yeah, an abortion is the direct intentional murder of an unborn child.
No, involuntary abortion, that's called miscarriage. They're
So,
abortions.
Yeah, spontaneous
pregnancy
abortion
is
Right,
is
but
a
hold on,
medical
hold on.
term that is sometimes used. Spontaneous abortion is a medical
We're
term
not-
that's sometimes used to describe a miscarriage.
We're
So
not
you gotta be
talking
careful
about. We're not talking about the dictionary. We're talking about what is Seamus and Matt Walsh's intent in their language.
Okay.
So I can understand where he's coming from in terms of law, because I don't think it's reasonable if a woman is like, I have a medical issue with my pregnancy and we're both going to die. It does not make sense to me that a conservative would be like, well, then you have to.
That's why the woman has the right to carry a weapon, Second Amendment, to protect herself.
Oh, right. Well, no, the point I'm making is, in talking with Seamus and Matt, as well as many other pro-life people, I've not encountered a circumstance where a pro-lifer has said the woman and the baby should both die if they have to.
Yeah.
But okay, so if we're going to make abortion, does that include miscarriages? Like involuntary abortions? Or are they just talking about voluntary
Is a
abortions?
stroke
That's a
murder?
different thing, yeah.
If you use the CIA stroke gun, then maybe, but I don't know.
Sure.
If
Good
it's an
answer.
induced stroke.
If somebody, I think this is a silly argument that I've heard quite a bit, and it's just like, but what about a miscarriage? And I'm like, yeah, sometimes people die. You don't go to prison if you're like, a guy has a heart attack. They don't go, well, time to arrest somebody.
Yeah, it's like, what is it, voluntary or involuntary is what it comes down to. And then there people will obfuscate that, obviously, and make it seem involuntary.
Can we
as
have
best of their ability.
I'd like to move over to a social
And also,
component of this
I
story.
just want to mention one more thing. I think there are instances where the left will I have read petitions signed by like literally hundreds of doctors that have said there's no such thing as a medically necessitated abortion. There are instances where surgery might need to be performed that poses a risk to the life of the unborn child, but there's no such thing as an instance where you have to go in and you have to kill the child.
And this is important because what you're saying is you are not referring to the intentional act of killing the baby for
Yeah,
the sake of
yeah.
removing it. You're saying in the instance where a mother has some medical issue, the intention isn't to kill the baby, but the baby might die because of it.
Yeah.
Were you always like anti-abortion growing up?
My whole life I've been anti-abortion. In fact, there was a period of time in my late teens where I really didn't take my faith seriously, and I think for all intents and purposes I could probably be described as atheistic, and at no point during that period in my life did I ever think it was okay to kill an unborn child. I just couldn't wrap my head around that being acceptable.
Let me ask you this. A woman is 20 weeks pregnant, and something occurs where the doctor's like, if we do not terminate this pregnancy, the mother will die.
I want to be very careful about this because, as I've said, I've read literature from doctors and I've spoken to doctors who have said that this kind of thing doesn't happen. Again, there are instances where surgery could pose a risk to the life of the unborn
Instead
child.
of talking
but
about,
if we're talking
no,
about like,
hold on. Instead of trying to say it doesn't happen, so I can't answer it. Let's just hypothetically.
I think I've laid out my principles, right? If there is a surgery that will save the mother's life, but it poses a risk to the life of a child, and that surgery is the only thing.
Absolute death. Like 20 weeks, you will die unless this pregnancy is ended right now.
Get a second opinion.
What would
Three doctors tell you that
okay,
now.
Right. Great. 3 doctors all say, yeah, the baby is killing you because of, this medical issue.
Yeah, if it's the case that the mother will die, I think you save her and you also do everything you can to save the baby.
But not intentionally kill the baby in the process.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So
And
you
if
still
the
do
baby-
everything you can
What
to
if-
save the baby and the mother.
What if the surgery is much safer if you kill the baby and remove it, as opposed to a much more risky procedure where you can try and preserve the baby and maybe the woman will live?
Again, I mean, we're getting that
It's
just
getting-
doesn't
yeah,
exist.
Well, in my
That
opinion,
just
I say you
doesn't
destroy the
exist.
fetus to give the woman the best chance of survival.
But that does. I mean, that scenario
think
doesn't
somebody's-
exist. That's like, what if you have to shoot a
somebody's power
5-year-old?
cable is on
oh
their
man, yeah, it could be mine.
Seamus.
I know.
Seamus always. Seamus. Was it Seamus?
Yeah, I think at
always
that
my
point,
power cable.
I
It
would
was.
be more comfortable erring on the side of do whatever the most likely thing for the mother of survival. Whether that means if it means that she's got a 10% chance less if you go for that's a
You know what's funny though? How many stories have you heard where a mother who has cancer forgoes chemo to save the life of her baby?
It has happened.
I've
It
never
happens
heard
a
that
lot.
before. Wow.
It happens a lot. It was a really famous story that was only, I think, a year ago, where a woman raised a bunch of money. She said she had cancer, and they said, you need to go on chemo now or you'll die. It'll also kill your baby. And she was like, nope, baby lives. I'll die.
I always hate that when doctors are like, if you don't do this, then this. And you're like, dude, what kind of authority do you think you are? Yeah, you went to med school. Good job.
Well, I mean, You can choose to trust your doctor.
If you
or
don't
whatever.
eat this, you'll die.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to watch live, you can check out this channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you want more unfiltered and uncensored content with all of these guests, go to timcast.com and become a member. All of these guests you know and love in exclusive segments on our website where we are unrestricted in what we talk about, so you'll definitely not want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all next time.